Hello, this is Amos Tarfa, and in this video, I'm going to be answering some questions. So you might be listening to this audio. Let's see what questions people have or questions that might be interesting to the public on math, science, and STEM preparation in America. Number one, please share a bit about your personal journey and what inspired you to focus on STEM education and mentorship. Right from when I was a young boy, I remember one of my earliest memories of life, literally at the age of about 4 in Bauchi State in Nigeria, was wanting to get paper and pen. I just loved paper. And when I was in third grade, I started writing basically basic like math problems and solutions, basic math problems and solutions. That was in primary 3 at Air Force Primary School, Victoria Island, Lagos. Those are some early memories I have of my interaction with math and science. I was blessed with a good primary school education. I grew up in Bauchi and Yola before 7, and then I moved to Lagos. And in Lagos, at Air Force Primary School, Victoria Island, Lagos, I was given a very good foundation in math and science. I was part of the Junior Engineers, Technologists, and Scientists Club. And so that was a little bit of my background there. But I worked hard. I was, top of my class and through primary school, I did pretty well in education and academics. My dad is an electrical engineer, and so I think there's also that element there. I remember growing up and just, he worked for the Nigerian telecommunications. And so, yeah, early memories, my dad is an engineer. I'm growing up in that context. Logic is emphasized. My dad used to ask us questions like, why? When we, Daddy, can we go here for lunch? And, basically he helps us think through, why would you go there when there's food at home, right? Those kinds of ways of thinking. Anyway, so I love logic, I love math, I love science. That's a little bit of my background. Came to America to get my bachelor's in pre-med chemistry. The goal was to become a pediatrician to inspire kids like Dr. Ben Carson did through his work. And, I taught at the math lab while I was in college, and I just loved showing people the beauty in math. I graduated in 2010. I got a job teaching at a private school, taught math and science, ACT prep, biology, history. And again, that math part just kept growing. I just loved explaining math concepts. Started recording YouTube videos back then in like 2012, 2013. And then got my master's degree in medical physics. I left the medical track. That's a long story. I left the track of, going to med school right after graduating. But I love math. I love logic. I love the objectivity and the philosophy side of me. So I also have a philosophy minor. The philosophical side, I think, is just, I love thinking about the why or how things work or why they're true or what makes something valid. And I want to help children to learn all those skills and people. I want people to learn those skills. But more importantly, the deeper question is I want people to be who they were created to be. I want them to flourish and use the gifts they've been given. But I think math and science is a great way to show people some of that. So I'm excited to help mentor the next generation of scientists, mathematicians, and thinkers who think like Isaac Newton and, James Clerk Maxwell and some of the top scientists of the day, but also have, humility and hopefully are encouraging to others. That's the reason I say that. If you study the life of Newton, you'll know why some of his tendencies were interesting. Okay, number 2. What challenges did you face in your early years that helped shape your perspective on learning for mastery and growth? I was blessed to go to Federal Government College, Lagos, where I had a very good education for my secondary school. So for primary school, I went to Air Force Primary School. Again, school was fun, exciting. But what challenges did I face in my early years? I think some of it is the challenge of identity, making sure that, I want to encourage families and, students, make sure that your identity issues, like make sure you work on that, right? Don't put your identity in other people's approval of you. And so some of my challenges, I would say, was more on non-academic issues. I was pretty good in academics. In Federal Government College, Lagos, it was like taking the best of the best and putting them in one place. And so it was challenging, but it was nice to have a team to support me. One challenge I do remember, one time I struggled with equations, and I remember having my brother help me work through that concept. And it's just so cool to see that having a coach can help you to master things more than you could by yourself. What do you see as the biggest gaps in STEM education in America and the world? I think one of the biggest gaps in STEM education is the idea of allowing people to move to the next topic when they haven't mastered the prior topic. We need to help people learn the importance of learning for mastery, not just to get a grade. Because if you get if you get 85% on a test, and that's okay to pass a grade level, but you're missing some key elements, you're going to struggle the next year or the next time you work on topics that depend on the knowledge of the thing you just, mastered. So I would highly encourage that people look at, mastery. Mastery-based learning is critical. So I would say that the biggest gap in STEM education is the lack of mastery emphasis and allowing people to keep moving forward even when they're not solid in the prerequisite knowledge. America is behind. America is at a point where we have so much potential. We can do better. There is no reason why we need to be where we are. We can do better. But for whatever reason, we have lowered the bar. And in some cases, some people have given up. And I'm not giving up. By God's grace, I want to see every child in America doing calculus by 11th grade. I'm not even waiting till 12th grade. By 10th or 11th grade. And that's why I've put together the Counting to Calculus framework, one of the reasons. In the world in general, there's a different attitude to hard work. Like in Nigeria, I took one of the hardest exams in the world. Now, India might have one just as hard. China probably has one. Singapore. But America does not have it. No way close. Here's what I mean. Let me give you the equivalent with America. Imagine taking the AP calculus exam on the same day as the AP physics exam, on the same day as the AP chemistry exam, on the same day as the AP sort of US, a composition exam or English writing exam. Imagine taking all of that on the same day. And if you fail it, you don't go to college. Like, just imagine the pressure, right? And that's part of what we had to deal with. And unfortunately, some kids, their results were seized. There was all sorts of things. But I just look at that and I say, in the world, I think that many countries understand the importance of hard work and rigor. So when they see what needs to be accomplished in math, they want to get there. Or in some cases, you have to repeat a grade level. But in America, I think we allow for people to keep moving forward, even when they should spend more time on mastery. How can educators better equip students to succeed in science, technology, and engineering fields? Well, we need to deal with the issue of helping children figure out where they're headed in life. That's number one, right? Maybe somebody's so good at philosophy and they know they want to be a philosopher. Well, I don't think we need to force them to go into science, technology, and engineering. So that first step is still critical. What does the child want to do with the life they've been given, right? So we need to deal with that issue. Number two, for those who do want to go into science, technology, and engineering, they need a solid math foundation. Get them to calculus as soon as possible. Statistics, linear algebra, discrete mathematics. Get them there as soon as possible. And then help them see the connections of those fields to everyday life. Get them a mentor. Get them projects to work on. Get them computer science skills like Python to grow in. So you need your solid math foundation, which goes into calculus, linear algebra, discrete math, and statistics. This is while you're in high school. In college, you can do Calc 2, Calc 3, and more. Or you could do it earlier if you want. Number two, get good computer science programming skills. Python is critical. Let's get people doing that. Number three, a mentor. Number four, job shadowing. And once a child knows, I want to build rockets. If a child is like, I know I want to build rockets, then what are we waiting for? Let them blast off. Let's give them the tools to take off. So that's what I would encourage. So the question is asked, you've been known as a strong advocate of the importance of a strong foundation in STEM. What specific skills or principles do you believe are crucial for students to master early on in their life? Number sense. Students need to master number sense. They need to be able to, when they see a math problem, like 59 plus 67, I should have an idea of what that answer is, so that if somebody comes back and says, oh, it's 329, right away I know that's not true, right? I should be good at that. When I was a child in Lagos, in Air Force Primary School, we used to have, people would ask me questions like 2 times 2, times 2, times 2, right? They would play those kind of games. We didn't have constant electricity, so that allowed us more time to think about our lives too. Now, kids have so many distractions. How can we help them to learn just thinking and playing with numbers. That is going to be very critical. So give your children the opportunity to play with numbers. Singapore math is probably one of the best early math curriculums. That's what we recommend for our pre-K to fifth grade. So if you have somebody elementary school or who's 3 or 4 or 5 years old, I say use Singapore math in addition to whatever else you might be using or as the main dish. So Singapore math is excellent. Once you get that solid elementary school math base, then add pre-algebra and algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, trigonometry, pre-calc, calculus, and beyond, right? But that base is very important. So getting a solid base with number sense would be very good. What else would I recommend? Stay curious, they would say, right? Some of the Nobel Prize winners would tell you this, but the importance of curiosity and just giving the child the chance to think about things. Give children a chance to engage with other kids, to learn together, talk about what they're learning. We need to really dial back our technology and screen time use and increase opportunities for the kids to engage with one another in good conversation about different aspects of reality. I remember as a child, I loved memorizing random facts. That's another one. Get kids to just learn a lot of random facts that could have some use. How many continents are there? What are the capitals of all the states in America? And classical schools do a good job with this. They sing songs and I love it. I love it. I love classical schools. And I'm hoping to present more and more of my curriculum work to classical schools to help them to basically nurture their children to become like top mathematicians and scientists who just learn a lot of these things while they're in elementary school for fun. But classical schools and they just bombard with a lot of good knowledge because kids love that. Kids love to learn. So my question is, what knowledge or what tools are you giving your children? What are we giving our children? You also advocate for career development alongside academic excellence. How do you integrate these two aspects in your mentorship approach? Well, human beings are more than just their minds. They're humans. They have a soul. They have they have more than just the physical, right? And when I've studied a lot about scientists of old, and I study a lot still. I have books here on, Journey Through Genius. I have books about scientists of faith. I have books on, just lots of books on science and science history, the mathematical universe. Just love reading about I love history and the history of science and math. And one thing you realize is some of these scientists, their lives were very complicated outside of the science you know about them, right? People know about Albert Einstein, but his life is a lot more complicated than what you might know about him. Walter Isaacson wrote a book about him. There's other books about him. But the point is, we need to encourage people to be people of character and not just people that know stuff. They need to be seeking to grow, seeking to learn how to apologize when they make a mistake, seeking to be humble in their approach to learning and encouraging others to flourish. Character matters. It's not enough to know stuff. It makes sense that you also flourish in your character. So that's part of why I'm an advocate for that. And as a Christian, I see, for me, everything, revolves around God and what he has done in my life and truth. And so I want to encourage people to seek to know truth beyond just the truth of math textbooks. We'll talk more about apologetics in a future video. Can you share a memorable success story of a student or mentee whose life was transformed through your guidance? I thank God for the opportunity I had to teach through the years. I'm actually an interesting outlier. You will hardly meet a Nigerian in America who has K-12 experience like I do. Now, I'm not saying an American who went to school here in the K-12 space or grew up here. No, I'm saying I came from Nigeria to America and I taught in the K-12 space willingly for a couple of years and then started a school and I was involved in education. Why is that rare? Well, first of all, it's expensive to become a teacher when you come from Nigeria, right? So people don't come here to study education. But I went into education because an opportunity was given to me. Instead of doing my PhD, I was given an opportunity to teach at a high school. And I took it because one of the reasons is because I didn't want to grow old, like while getting my PhD, and then the kids, I feel like there's an equation. The older you get, the less kids listen to you sometimes, right? So I wanted to work with them while I was still young, while I was still in my 20s. And so I was supposed to do my PhD at Baylor University in Texas in 2010, 2011 and on. But I spoke at a chapel at a school and they mentioned that they needed a math teacher. And I didn't even think, nope, that's not me. I mean, I'm going to my PhD school, right? My friends are going to med school, PhD, everybody's leaving, where I was living. And then I realized, wait a second, later on, it's like, this could be a great opportunity. So I took the opportunity, and I thank God that I did, because it gave me an opportunity to see the problems with the American math curriculum. I bring all this up to say that teaching opportunity gave me a chance to be a blessing to many students. I thank God for that opportunity I had. I had a student who, she would have not considered herself someone who could have gotten a computer science or IT degree, or someone who would have gone to college. But she went to college, she got a degree in the IT computer space. She did very well. She presented at, I remember one time she presented at a conference while she was in college. That's one story there. But I could probably tell you, I don't know, 35 more stories. And what you notice, the common theme, a lot of my students now we have people who are teachers. One of them is teaching at the same school I used to teach. One of them, I have several engineers. I have several who went into the military branches. I have some who are in medical school. So the students, some of them probably had given up on math, and they changed their view when they realized they could become good at math. And that's how I teach math. I teach math in a way where I show you that you can do it. You can do math. Don't allow anyone tell you otherwise. So students, if you're watching this, I want to encourage you, you can do mathematics. And it starts from that recognition and then having a solid curriculum to guide you to your destination. So that's what I would say is, that's one of the stories that comes to mind. I have helped students who were attending other schools who came to me for tutoring. I've helped them kind of get on track. I've helped students who were on track to begin to dream big. Anyways, there's a lot of students, and that particular student who went into computer IT was a story that I will never forget, because that's quite encouraging to see the impact we can have on others when we give them a chance to flourish. I've worked a lot with homeschool families through the years. I've worked with hundreds of homeschool students. Well, I've worked with hundreds of students, a lot of homeschool families. And sometimes what happens is, when you're homeschooling, let's say there's a mom who's homeschooling, but dad is at work, mom is homeschooling, she might not like math as much, and the child wants to become a physicist. Well, how are you going to help teach a child who wants to become a physicist? That's why you reach out to people like Amos, the math guy, right? You reach out to someone hey, can you come in and help my child to flourish in mathematics so they can go to physics, study physics. So those stories are also there. I have a student now who's going back to study physics, and I'm really proud of him. Well done. I've known that he has had this dream for like 8 to 10 years, and it's cool to watch him graduate finish his 2-year degree and now going to get a physics degree. For young people struggling to find their passion in STEM, what steps would you recommend to help them discover and pursue their interests? I would say that teaching the history and philosophy of math and science is really rewarding and encouraging, and I would encourage students to do that. Learn the background of the knowledge. So we're talking about electricity. Learn everything about the history of electricity from scratch to the present. Well, to get a good understanding, like watch documentaries, find ways to get that spark. Someone once said, education is not filling a bucket, it's lighting. It's not filling a bucket, it's lighting a fire. Find ways to get that fire, right? Watch my channel. I'm going to be giving more videos on the history of math and science. I have Journey Through Genius. We're going to be going through that. Check out that and watch channels that teach about the history of math and science. That would help a lot. There's a lot of good YouTube channels that do that, and you can reach out to me if you want me to send you some of those as well. How do you recommend students balance the pressures of academics with personal growth and mental health? Well, personal growth and mental health. You need to sleep well, you need to eat well, you need to be mentored, you need to be encouraged, you need to be reading, you need to be taking good care of yourself and your mental health, right? Have a mentor. Make sure you have a mentor. That would help because they've seen further, right? That's number one. Now, on top of once those are established, have a good study routine, right? Limit your smartphone use. Don't be using it all the time. Limit your smartphone use and make sure that you have your mental health and personal growth in place, and then put those things on, then you have a good study routine, and you'll be good to go. What advice do you have for parents or guardians who want to support their children in STEM pursuits? Don't follow the American math education system. Don't do it. It's a bad idea if you're in America. Now, if you're in other places, great. Okay, Singapore, India, Nigeria, those are, and actually most of West Africa, most of Asia. The problem really, we could boil it down. A lot of it is America, unfortunately. America's math curriculum sequence is unbelievably bad. It's just very bad. Here's what I mean. Just follow. I'm not just saying this randomly. Let me give you an example. In America, in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade, you're generally going to be dealing with fractions, decimals, percents, and repeating a lot of knowledge. They're burning out kids' passion right there. When I've mastered fractions, decimals, and percents, I should not be learning it again in 7th grade. I should be doing algebra 1 and 2. But then in America, they take 3 months off, 3 full months from doing math. Like, that is a bad idea, right? Don't take 3 months off. Keep learning. Like, even if it's just 20 minutes a day in the summer. I mean, what are we doing? Like, it's different if in the summer you're helping your neighbors mow their lawn and helping your community, but is that what you're doing though? And if you're not, then why don't you do more work, right? So that's part of why I'm concerned with American math education. Too many breaks and too disorganized. The elementary, middle school, high school, and college are disconnected. If you look at the math structure, there's not a cohesive, comprehensive journey. Because middle schoolers who end up in high school sometimes, when they're doing algebra 2, they repeat like 3 months of algebra 1. It's just like, why can't we just make this a smooth transition? So take ownership of your child's learning. Let your child take ownership of their learning. Don't just expect the society to give you all the tools. Make sure that you have a destination. So if your destination is calculus, which I recommend, make sure that you focus and you keep working towards that. Then find a mentor. Again, mentoring is key. Even if your child is the best in math in America, get them a mentor. Even if your child is the best in math in Singapore, get them a mentor that knows more than them, of course, right? So always find that person because they can help bring your child to a new level. So that's what I would recommend to families about supporting their STEM pursuits. Teach them to be curious. Teach them the history and philosophy of math and science. What changes would you like to see in global education systems to better prepare students for the future? We need to teach the beauty of the knowledge we're teaching or the beauty of the subject. So math is beautiful. Let's teach that. Let's teach it not just for the application of a concept, but for its inherent beauty. Let's not lower the bar, especially with AI and Google, and we have a lot of resources out there. Let's get students to the next level and let's help them to flourish in being who they were made to be. I would love to see more kids just doing math for fun on a Friday night, right? I mean, they could play checkers and chess and then do math. Anyways, I'm kidding. There are other hobbies people can have, but I'm just saying, let's see more kids just doing learning for fun. I would love to see teachers excited about what they're teaching, and that's another way, that we can help children. And then we need to remember that every child is special. Every child is unique. Let's help them flourish. Let's think about their lives as a whole rather than just the academic aspects. If you could implement one policy to improve access to STEM education, what would it be and why? Everybody get the whole set of like counting to calculus or something like it. The whole set. You have the whole set and give kids the whole set so they know everything they need to be working on. Give them workbooks. So they know that, okay, I'm working on the first book. I'm done with the first book. Great. I'm now in the second book. Great. Put people in the ability level that they can handle. If a child can't add fractions, why are they in Algebra 1, right? That's where we need to change our mindset for sure. We need to put people in their mastery-based ability rather than simply grade-based learning. Let's use mastery-based learning. Let's use a vision-based education system and mastery-based learning. How do you stay motivated and continue growing in your personal and professional life? I would say that, I love being encouraged and challenged I love watching videos on the history and applications of different things, and I love making connections. So that's something that I love to do. I know there's so much more to learn as we make connections. I'll give you one example of something that was crazy that I just learned about. Did you know that John Dalton of the atomic theory was a teacher to the Mayo brothers' father in England? So the Mayo Hospital, you know about the Mayo Hospital. That's a pretty impressive place, right? The brothers, they talk about the Mayo brothers and then their father. Their father was a student of John Dalton. I'm like, that's so cool. So now we have the history of medicine connected. We could kind of trace some things back to the history of physics and chemistry and John Dalton's work. I love making those connections. So I love studying the history of chemistry, physics, but all the histories and then connecting the dots where they connect. So that's one of the ways is that I get excited about just teaching the applications and the relevance of different materials like that. Are there any books, resources, or mentors that have significantly influenced your journey? Professor John Lennox, that's from Oxford University. I've had a chance to meet with him a few times and I've been very encouraged. Journey Through Genius, this book literally changed my perspective on education. When I read about Isaac Newton's life, I'm like, this guy was an ordinary guy that just worked hard and had the right tools, and look what he did. What if we teach the history of math and science? These are some great resources. Of course, the Bible has influenced my life greatly, and and so that's there. So let's see. Let's see what other book. Okay, mentors. Some of the people at Ekwa in Nigeria, Ekwa Church Wuse 2, Ekwa Church Ikoyi. So that was the church I grew up in Lagos. And then some of those guys have been a blessing. People like Bruce Ayonote, who I used to talk with in Nigeria before I came and still check in with at Suburban. So those are some people. My brother Emmanuel, I would say, had an influence on my life indirectly. He aimed high and it was very good with leadership, and I watched him, and that mentoring affected my world. My dad, of course, I still listen to Handel's Messiah. I still listen to classical music in the car. And some days it's so cool. I was listening to Handel's Messiah in the car with my son one day, and it's like this was me and my dad like 20 years ago, so that's really critical. I would say is our parents have a huge impact. My mother, of course, went through a lot, getting me through boarding school when my dad was transferred somewhere else. So those are some mentors that have inspired me. My mom has taught me a lot about serving others, and my dad has taught me a lot about valuing each and every person. And then all my siblings have played a role in my life. Dr. Ralph Silke, who passed away, fortunately, a few years ago, played a huge role. He was a cell biologist, a microbial geneticist out in University of Wisconsin in Superior. He also played a huge role in my life. And the people in Duluth, Minnesota, Fargo, North Dakota, again, I'm appreciative of all the lessons I learned from people there. And so those are some of the people that have influenced my life. Looking back, what would you say to your younger self about success and failure? I don't do well with adjusting after failing in something or after doing something that didn't work out as I hoped, right? So what I would tell my younger self is don't be too hard on yourself. Be transparent and clear and upfront about challenges you're facing, and that would help, right? So that's what I would tell my younger self. Just learn that failure can be a propeller, like it could propel you forward. Don't think of failure as just being bad all the time. And that's some of what you see in our cultural upbringing, is that sometimes we run away from failure because we think it's the worst thing ever. But we should learn the art of using lessons from things that don't work out to improve every day. And then be humble when you succeed at something, and have a team. A team helps. Having a team helps big time. Okay. What is one message you would like to leave with young people aspiring to excel in STEM fields? Let's get a new James Clerk Maxwell type person around. Let's start getting these high-level physics, chemistry people that change the world. I'm writing a series now called 12 Men That Changed the World of Math and Science, and I just want to see more people like James Clerk Maxwell, people that would connect chemistry, physics, mathematics, philosophy in one discussion. I want to see that era of people again. So that's what I want to see. Is I want to encourage you to make sure you learn from the best. These guys published very good books that we can read. I have a book here by Leonard Euler in my stack. Sorry, my stack is here. I have a stack of books. I have Leonard Euler's book. I have Isaac Newton's book. I'm trying to learn from the original mathematicians and physicists that did some of the work that we study today in our textbooks. I think that would really help. So I want to encourage you, learn from the best. Learn from the people in the history of math and science, and then go out and make a difference. Let tomorrow's textbooks have your name with a constant next to it. How about having your constant, right? How cool would that be, right? I'm just giving an example. I don't have a constant named after me, but like Tarfa constant. So the Tarfa constant shows, that would be pretty cool. The Tarfa constant shows the older you get, the less kids listen to you. I'm kidding. That's an example. I talked about this earlier on. Okay, how can the public or interested individuals support your mission or collaborate with you? Well, my limit is not just helping a child to reach a state standard. My limit is to excel beyond Isaac Newton and James Clerk Maxwell and Michael Faraday. I want to learn from their work, but I want the children to flourish beyond that if that's their gifting and their skill set. So if you want to support our work, I would say that there are some ways to do it. There are some students that I teach that cannot afford our full tuition prices, right? So you can start a scholarship to help those students, or just pay for their tutoring. That's one example. If you have a skill set and would be willing to collaborate, like if you have an accounting skill set or if you have a HR skill set and you just want to provide me with some guidance and insights, right? I don't need 100 people to do that, but I'm just saying I want to build a team. I want to build a solid team to help to be more to make a greater impact. So that is one way you can support the work is through supporting the team structure that I'm trying to build. Of course, if you want to build us a university for science and mathematics that teaches the history and philosophy of math and science, we would appreciate that, right? So I would say that we want to get more centers. So I call them counting to calculus centers. We want to get counting to calculus centers all across America in all 50 states. And so we want to build systems. So if you're good with engineering and systems, that would be a way to support our work as well. It's helping us as we build the infrastructure to scale to all 50 states in America for students to be getting the highest level of math and science education in the 21st century anywhere in the world. That's our goal. So reach out to me if you want to support us in building structures or insights that you might have. Funding book projects for schools that want to buy counting to calculus for their students. These are some ways that you can support the work of what we're doing. And just tell others about us. We have some room to still take on a few more students. Well, we have room to take on students who want to learn in our Counting to Calculus Saturday program. So tell your friends if they want to sign up, they should reach out to amosthemathguy.com, or my email is amos@amosthemathguy.com, amos@amosthemathguy.com. So please have them just reach out if they want to support our work. If they want to be a part of our mission. I look forward to sharing more in future videos, but this is my short interview answering the questions about Amos the Math Guy, our history and how we've gotten to where we are. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.